Hi everyone, I'm Stephanie Reese and I'm a co-owner of Maureen Bradley Designs, and today I wanted to show you how I made this wire wrapped pendant. Hang on for just a moment while I turn the camera around. So here, as I adjust the camera, I wanted to show you, this was the original wire wrapped pendant that I made, and this is the beads that I used from the October Jesse James Beads brand ambassador kit from October. But this was the original pendant that I made, and as I showed you before, I went ahead and duplicated it using this bead because I don't have a second bead focal as I do here. I have one on the way, but it's not arrived yet. So I wanted to go ahead and just show you that I used a similar bead focal that has a large hole, which you will need to consider when you're selecting your bead focal, because the wire does wrap through it twice. All right, so I'm going to move this out of the way, and we will keep this pendant here for reference. Let's bring it down. And then I just want to go over the materials that I have for you that we're going to be using today. So we are going to be using some 20 gauge German style Beadalon wire in silver. This is 20 gauge again. And then we have pliers. And of that wire, excuse me, I cut a 15-inch piece of wire. And then I have a second piece that's about 6 inches long. The pliers that I used are nylon jaw pliers, round nose pliers. I have 2 sets of needle nose pliers. These are more pointy, while these are a little more wide. Flush cutters from Beadalon, and I also have bail making pliers. All right, so let's get started. All this out of the way. And again, this is a resin bead that I had in my stash, and I just thought it was beautiful, and I was able to use it as well because it has a wider hole where the wire can pass through more than once. All right, so we're going to start with the 15-inch piece of wire, and I went ahead and flush cut both ends. So we're going to start with one end, and you're going to use your round nose pliers. And you're going to start at the very tip, and you're just going to make a round loop, like so. And then you're going to continue on a little further, wrapping it around. And at this point, you'll have to stop, excuse me, and you'll have to grab a set of needle nose pliers, and you're going to have to grab the coil, the start of the coil, and gently work it around with your finger. And don't press too hard, otherwise you'll mar the silver wire. And we just want to get this going. We have a little bit there going, so I'm going to switch over to my nylon jaw pliers. And I'm going to grab it, and I'm going to continue working in the round of the coil. In this, you can apply a little more pressure. Excuse me, it's not going to mar the wire, which makes these nylon jaw pliers so wonderful for wire working. All right, and I'm going to stop, take a look. I want to go 3 wraps around to create my coil. I'm just continuing to work the wire, working my fingers with the nylon jaw pliers and my fingers. Almost there. Whoop. Yeah, we're there. Excuse me. All right. So then I'm going to take my other needle nose pliers, and I'm going to make a bend in the wire going up. See how that goes? Sorry. Bad allergies, that's what causes that. All right. So now we're going to feed this into the bead focal. And we're going to see, here's the bend in the wire, and we want to have, you have about, oh, I don't know, it's a little bit of space there. So you want to come up a little bit from the bend in the wire because we're going to bend the wire up. And this is going to be there we go. And there is a little bit of a bend in my bead, so it's not going to be flat per se, and that's okay. So now we're going to look at the top, and I'm gently holding the bottom here so that it stays into the bead. And I'm just pulling gently up on the wire, and it's going to keep it in place with your ring finger. Then I'm going to bend, maybe I'll put my thumb over the coil and that will keep it in place. I'm going to bend the wire down and keep it flush with the bead focal. And I'm just going to come on down. And as you'll notice, as I come down, I'm going to take, see if I can show you here. I'm going to take the wire and I'm going to come up and around to create another little loop around the coil. Okay, so we're going to come down here under the bead, and we're just going to gently bring it around, and it's going to create a nice little loop in there, and you're just going to pull it down ever so gently and see how it's created that loop. And of course it's moving on me. There we go. And we'll just pull it back. And you pull the wire down. And if at any time your wire gets bent like mine just did, you can gently pull on it with your nylon jaw pliers and it straightens the wire out beautifully. All right. So here we are. And I'm just gently tugging on that loop a little bit and see how we've got our coil there, if I can get my fingers out of the way, and we have a second loop. And now we're going to take that and we're going to feed this longer piece of wire back through the bead. And I'm just going to gently bend it and feed it back through like so. And then you just want to gently guide it through, and you want to make sure that no little other loops occur in your wire, because when you're bending wire, it has a way of causing other little kinks to happen in the wire. And then I'm just going to gently tug and pull with my nylon jaw pliers. Pull it back through. And then you can gently guide it a little bit. And that's how I create the bottom piece that snugly keeps the bead in place. And you have this long wire that's come out of the other side of the bead, so now we can make our bail. So to make the bail, I put my round nose pliers here and I bent the wire forward because I want a little neck here that I can wire wrap around. And you'll see how thick it gets once we do the wire wrap. So I used this side of the bail making pliers to make the bail. So now we're going to push the bail making pliers as snug as you can against the bead and the other wire. I want to try to show you different angles, but it's a little hard. And then we're just going to wrap around 3 times. So there's one, and I'm going to come up, round again, and then I want to keep the wire there, and we're going to come down again 2 times, and then we're going to wrap a 3rd time, which trying to keep the shape of my bail, and there we go. And then you do want to come up again. Excuse me. So now you have this round piece that's got 3 wraps on it. And if I weren't showing you, I would have kept it in there because now we want to wire wrap this neck part. This little piece right here that we created, that little space there. And I'm gently holding the bail part with my hand. I'm not putting a lot of pressure. I just want to keep it in place as I wrap. And this can be a messy wrap. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can make it perfectly wrapped, but I just want to have a nice little, I think it looks so pretty like that when you just do a messy wrap. And then I'm going to end on this back side here, like so. And then I'm going to take my flush cutters and I'm going to go ahead and just trim away the excess wire. There. Make sure you're covering or holding the piece that you're cutting in place so that the wire doesn't go flying off on you. All right, and here's where you will gently tuck in that end. You just want to gently move it in and tuck it in so it doesn't stick out without making really rough movements, because you can mar the wire, the silver on the wire. All right, so now you have this wrapped pendant, and I see here how I spread the prong. They're like little prongs now, the little loops. So I'm going to take my thin needle nose pliers and I'm going to gently push them into the loops and spread them apart. And doing this keeps you from grabbing the loops and marring the wire. And once you get it to that point, you can sort of take your fingers or your nails and then just gently move them out like so. So now we're going to use the second piece of wire, which is used to create this second coil and this little whirly twirly piece that I have on the pendant or the bead focal. So again, this was about 6 inches long, and I'm going to take it and about the middle of the neck there of the bail, I'm going to wire wrap it around. If I can get my fingers to cooperate, like so. And I want to come around this way with the other side. And that makes for a really thick neck to the bail, because whatever you feed through your bail, leather or some sort of cording, it's going to swing just nicely and it won't break at the neck. I like that it's super thick. All right, so the first one I want to do is, since we're crossed like this, you want to make sure that they're crossed. And again, your ends are flush cut. You don't have the other side of your flush cutter. So one side cuts flush and the other side cuts like at an angle. We're going to take, for this side, I want to do the coil, and this side I'll do the little twirly. So again, to make your coil, you put this at the end of the round nose pliers, just at the tip, and you're going to make a loop. Like so. And then you want to keep going just a little bit to get it started. And then again, you're going to grab it just a little bit, gentle movements to get it coiled and started. And then I'm going to switch to my nylon jaw pliers and finish the coiling job. Also keeps it flat. Oops. And so here you have it going out. We can certainly bend the wire gently down, like so, so that it stays in place. And it crosses over the wire. Come on. But will cooperate with me and my fingers. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to wrap one more time and come around, and we're going to do a little twirly. I don't know what you call it, but that's what I'm going to call it. And this time you're going to come down with your round nose pliers, and you're just going to keep wrapping like so. And you can make this shorter if you want. It doesn't have to be, you know, like I think this one was a little shorter. I didn't make this one. This one's a little longer. But you just keep going and wrapping it around your pliers like so. And then when you're ready to stop, you kind of bend it down, and then you're going to pull on that little twirly gig down on the wire. Like so. And then what I do is I normally trim the wire such that that little edge isn't sticking out. I mean, I guess you could leave it out or do whatever your heart desires, but I tend to trim it a little bit so that it won't catch on anything. And actually we want to do a flush cut, so we want to turn the plier around, the cutters around, so that the flush side is cutting. And then hold on to that piece so it doesn't go flying off. And then there's your little whirly twirly. And you can bend it however you imagine or like. And that is how the piece is made. We have one last little detail, and that is to put some bends in this wire if you so choose. I took my needle nose pliers and just gently gave it a little bend in the wire, like so. There you go. And there you have a wire wrapped, beautiful pendant. I thank you so much for tuning in today. I appreciate any likes or feedback that you might have on anything else you might like to learn about. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day.